Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm diving into Marathon, Bungie's newest extraction shooter that I've been testing in closed alpha for the last week. I love extraction shooters and I love dissecting what makes them tick. In this video, we'll cover my initial impressions, gameplay mechanics, comparisons to other titles and things like that, and then we'll wrap it up with pros and cons. So let's just jump right in. But one point I want to make real quick before we get into this is the term alpha being used. I'm going to use it in this video because that's what Bungie is calling this, a closed alpha. But from my perspective, this isn't an alpha. The game is mostly complete. There's mechanics and content that are missing, but it's not because they haven't been finished or they're not done. They're intentionally held back so that Bungie has something to reveal when they do go to an open beta and release. On top of that, release is just in 5 months, with an open beta promised in 4. Games of this scale don't go from an alpha state to release in less than half a year. So while I do use alpha in this video, in my eyes, this is just a closed beta. With that out of the way, let's get into my initial first impressions. First thing I noticed, Marathon feels like it's trying to be the approachable extraction shooter. It's not out to break your spirit like some other games in the genre, and it's more about fun than it is frustration. That's cool, but it's not exactly reinventing the wheel. It's solid, not spectacular, and it plays it pretty safe, even for an alpha. While playing it, I couldn't shake the feeling that Bungie took Apex Legends and just said, let's add extraction mechanics to it and see what happens. I even brought this up with my chat in one of my streams, and chat seemed to agree. It's got that Apex Legends DNA, and with how its health mechanics work, the weapon modding, the maps. It's all familiar but different, kind of like a remix of a song you already know, but we'll unpack more of that Apex Legends comparison a little bit later. Now, the core gameplay, movement and shooting, it's tight, it's good. It's got that Bungie polish you'd expect from the Halo and Destiny crew. No real complaints there. Then you hit the UI and controls, and it's clear this game was built for consoles in mind, or at least first of mind. Menus, the inventory, it's all optimized for a controller, and as a PC player, it's a hassle and it's disappointing. I have had several times where I'm fumbling through the radial menus mid-fight trying to get the right grenade or the med or a shield or a booster, and it was just a mess. I was laughing and dying. It's chaotic in all the wrong ways. On the plus side, the extraction process itself is a highlight. It's tense. You're scavenging loot, deciding whether to push your luck or extract, knowing, like with most extraction shooters, one bad decision could cost you everything. The risk-reward loop is where Marathon actually stands out compared to other casual games, but it still falls short of most other extraction shooters because it is so casual friendly. This is where I don't know how well this game's going to end up, because as most people that want the extraction shooter genre type of game, they look for that more challenging, that more difficult, that more friction side of the game mechanics versus a real casual experience. With that being said, this might be a doorway for people that have never wanted to touch extraction shooters to actually get a little bit of taste of that. Only time's gonna tell there. Oh, right on top of us.
Prepare for increased hostile action.
Oh, back it up.
But let's talk the Apex Legends vibes real quick. The movement, the pacing, the gunfights, they're so close to Apex it's almost uncanny. The game is unique in itself. It's not just a copy-paste, but the mechanics are heavily influenced and in some ways copied. So that it feels like Apex, that instead of you're fighting in a battle royale, you're fighting your way to extract with your loot. It's a fun twist, and when it clicks, it is awesome. Big payouts and loot, really good PvP battles, all of that stuff stands out for me here more than it does with Apex. But compared to something like Escape from Tarkov though, it isn't a fraction of as punishing. And me and some others have debated this a lot. Marathon's accessibility could bring in casual players who'd bounce off harder extraction games, but it might leave the hardcore crowd wanting more grit and getting bored very quickly. But the big question is going to be where Marathon goes from here. It's an alpha, so there is room to grow. The foundation's strong, the mechanics are there, but it's safe and simple. And they will need to find something unique for it to stand out. Because as of right now, it's just Apex with an extraction. And it's not its own beast. And if Bungie is actually willing to step out on a ledge and try some things a little bit more unique, I do think this game could get some legs.
A unit is signaling for reinforcements.
I love the old school Halo punch. One of the plus sides I did notice to it, though, is that if there was a couple of times where I was like, man, I've got 30 minutes. Can I get a match in? I logged in, I hopped in, I was in a match within, 3-4 minutes, played out 15-20 minutes. Sometimes I died. It was no big deal. I went on the rest of my day. I just logged off and quit. Sometimes I survived, still logged off and quit. When I got back on, I had more gear to play with. So that is a plus side to this versus other game. Like Tarkov, you could take 20-30 minutes just to get ready to get into your first raid, depending on what you're doing. So the idea that the time crunch is much less and the time demand is much less is one of the things that I think Bungie's going for, but how they keep that interesting is going to be the real challenge. Now, the pros and cons. What's good? The gameplay feels great. Movement and shooting are on point. The accessibility makes it easy to jump in, and the objectives that are in each match, each run, keep matches a little more interesting. I had one game where we stumbled on a hidden stash and we didn't know what they were yet, and there was just crazy loot in there, and we got out with that. We had another where we barely extracted with enemies throwing grenades and shooting us as we're teleporting out. Those moments are gold, and emergent gameplay is what keeps people coming back for extraction shooters. It's not necessarily the scripted mechanics or the events. It's all the stuff that happens around that because of that is different each raid. For me, for the first 30-40 hours, the PvP was rewarding and it was exciting, which keeps it engaging. But I've already started to feel that wear off as the loot becomes less important. And one of the things that they're doing in this that at first I didn't like, but I ended up liking the direction they're going, is the gear churn. They really push the players to use the gear you have, not store stuff, but just play with what you have and go. And if you don't have anything, it's really easy to get into a match and still be successful with really basic starter cheap gear. The downsides here, it's not pushing boundaries in any real way. This is a life raft, a safe boat, a padded room in a genre that loves bold swings and new ideas. And the PC controls, I just can't get over that. The fact that I'm trying to play a PC game with console controls drives me nuts. And I think that's going to affect a lot of other people. Maybe not, but I think unless they really want to drag the PC crowd into here, they have to separate those functions from console and PC players. On top of that, like we've discussed, the loot system also feels underwhelming. It's functional, but not as rewarding as it could be. The stakes are there, but the payoff still needs some work. As I progress further and further, more and more of the loot becomes worthless, to the point now where I'm only really looking for 5 or 6 items in the entire loot pool. So that means when I'm looting a player, the only thing I really care about is better guns or equipment and maybe 1 or 2 things they have. And if I'm on a roll and I'm not dying, I've killed 5 or 6 players in a match and not picking a single thing up off of them because there was nothing better that they had. And that is a very bad place for an extraction shooter to be in. That is the point. You want to take other people's stuff. But if it's so easy to be at top tier that other people's stuff just isn't worthwhile, it's all risk and no reward. So, Marathon in its closed alpha state, it's a casual extraction shooter experience with a lot of potential. It's not blowing me away yet. I had a lot of fun playing it, but that's novelty. That plays in with everything. And I tend to just enjoy games as I play them. Even if I only get 30, 40 hours and I'm like, all right, I'm done, I'm bored, I still enjoyed that. I am excited to see how Bungie goes with this, though, and refines it based on the feedback they're getting from the alpha. They seem to be very open and receptive to changes. Things like the mouse and keyboard aim assist, they're going to turn off in the second phase of the alpha, and they're listening to some other stuff with matchmaking and maybe some balance. So hopefully the road ahead is good, and once it comes to the open beta and you can all try it out, it's just that much better. I joked around with Jesse about this. He said, I want this game to be good so bad. And I told him, it's not just want, we need this game to be good. Not because we have to have a game from Bungie, but the industry needs something that is successful so that we can continue to build. Because in my eyes, all of the extraction shooters since Escape from Tarkov have been some form of regression. Either people are trying to take Escape from Tarkov and make it more casual, which just doesn't work, or they come at it from an approach that doesn't grab on to what makes extraction shooters special. And I'm afraid that's where Bungie's at right now. So we'll see where the next couple months go. Drop your thoughts down below. You know, hit that subscribe button if you like this breakdown and if you want to see the next one for any other games we play. But I do want to know what your guys' thoughts. I know a lot of you have been watching it, and I've heard a lot of thoughts. So make sure you let me know down in the comments. But we'll wrap her up right there. That's all I got for you. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we can get some more marathon content out here, and it ends up being a good game. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.